Hello everyone. A short video, again, it's just to show how you might tackle a subject working semi-abstract, as we've been discussing in recent weeks. So I want to keep it quite brief. And I just want to really go through the process that you can adopt to work from what is a representational subject to something more semi-abstract. Let's assume that I've taken the subject and I've spent a period of time developing that, and I've gone through a process of doing preliminary work, and this is the finished version. This isn't by myself, it's by an artist, Anna's DBG, and I'll put that in the email link so that you can look her up. She's an interesting artist, but just to repeat myself, let's say I've gone through a process of drawing, refining those preliminary drawings, and I've ended up with something, get something like this. Okay, so in a moment I'm then going to draw the subject here. So I've decided also on the colors. This is predominantly, as you can see, yellows, reds, and so it's predominantly those colors, and this is what we see in this one also. So just to recap, I've taken the original subject, I've done some preliminary drawings, I've worked out the finished composition along similar lines to what we see here, and I've also worked out the color scheme. The color scheme could be anything, remember. So with semi-abstraction, there's no right or wrong way of doing it. It could be a study in greens, couldn't it? Or indeed blues or whatever. Once again, a loose sketch. I'm using charcoal, simply so then you can see more clearly. Being very free, very loose with it. And of course, we got the banana here. I could move the banana a touch, bring that pot around here to the bottom of the pot, and so forth. As I keep mentioning, this is just an introduction to give you a bit more encouragement to consider working semi-abstract, and a little bit of a glimpse into the processes involved. Do I put another? Well, just to show you, I'll put another pair there. There we go. So that's the subject done. I just noticed that the camera wasn't set quite, so I just repeat a little bit. You can see how loose I'm working here also, following my instinct. Okay. So that the paint doesn't pick up the charcoal, I'm just going to now take the excess charcoal off with soft tissue. Otherwise, it can lift the charcoal into the paintbrush and muddy the paint that you're using. I'll just take off the excess charcoal. The outline is still strong enough for me to follow. I've laid the colours out. I'm going to keep it simple, but as just mentioned, it's predominantly reds, yellows. Okay, so I've got 3 yellows here: cadmium yellow, Naples yellow, yellow ochre, a cadmium red, alizarin red, ultramarine blue, plus white. I've got the ultramarine blue and the alizarin to make a violet. Now I'm about to make a start. I've still got the reference material close by, the actual items, and of course this version here. And it's a combination of referring to both. So I keep those handy. I've now mixed up some colour, and away I go. This is always one of the most anxious moments, putting the first paint down. So I use the blocking in process, most artists do. And then I leave a lot of it up to instinct, just following your own judgment. Okay, so this is one of the most anxious moments, as I say. Where would you go first? background. I'll make a start then with the fruit itself. So I've got a cadmium yellow here. I still do the blocking in process. The critical thing is just to make a mark, then you respond with another mark and so forth. And then after about 2 or 3 brush strokes, then you start to get a feel for it. There's a couple of brush strokes there. If I come over to this pair here, and remember I'm blocking in, I want to be semi-abstract. And then we come to the apple. Now I've made a start. Now I feel much more easier about it, much calmer as it were. And so I keep continuing. Yes, the bowl itself is red. So if I come in with a darker red, you've got to keep telling yourself that you're working semi-abstract because your brain will keep telling you, no, stop and go back and work in a representational way. So I'm doing some blocking in. Now the fear factor is disappearing quickly. This is when excitement starts to take over, but I am relying very much on instinct, work in a spontaneous way. And so the brush strokes become important. I'm still putting the paint on thin at this point because, as I keep saying, I'm doing the blocking in process. With the background, I'll leave that for the moment. I come to the pear in the foreground. Maybe I'll go for the Naples yellow now. So I'll go for the Naples yellow. Good. And I'm using a big brush as well. Good. And the more brush strokes I put in, the more exciting I become, or more excited I become. Because there's no right or wrong way of doing it. But this blocking in process is quite critical. So I got to this point here. And now I need to consider the background. So for the background, I've decided to go dark, a dark tone, dark value, simply because there's quite a bit of light on the subject itself. And I've mixed up here a combination of black, burnt sienna. I'm still working on the background. This may not necessarily be the finished version. Once again, it could be solving problems, refining it, making further decisions with the foreground. Maybe I just bring this. And if I get some white in that fort, there we go. This could represent a tablecloth. And with that white, maybe I can indicate a highlight or light area. There we go. And then I repeat that over here. So I'm using the pure titanium white and reminding myself that I am working semi-abstract. As I keep reminding you, it's very easy to let the brain override that and you start to work representationally. So I've now decided to go back to the cadmium yellow, the neat cadmium yellow. Back to the pears. So I was using Naples yellow here. I want to get a balance between those two. So I come back to the cadmium yellow. Just in certain areas there. And then of course it's here now. I've got to make some decisions. Now I've gone back to the neat red. At this point, I can start to consider the texture. And remember, as I keep been pointing out to you, I'm working semi-abstract. So I'm just trying to retain enough information on the subject so that the viewer can guess what the subject relates to. And then on top of that, of course, is to start making the colors and so forth. So again, to repeat myself, I am working here in a very instinctive way. That's the core of the apple. And maybe I could consider now shadow area. This is where the violet is coming in. And then there. This is a combination of ultramarine blue and alizarin red. Now I got to this point, probably need to stop and just contemplate it all, have a bit more thought on where I take it from here. So I've now mixed up a green using cerulean blue and lemon yellow. Where do I put the green? So once again, I'm relying on instinct here. So as we know, red and green are complementary colors. The background is a little bit uninspiring. So maybe I flick some of the green around. That now encouraged me to come down to here. At this point, it's as good as blocked in. Well, it is blocked in. Now, of course, I can consider using the paint a bit more thickly. So if I come back to the Naples yellow. So now I'm looking at putting the paint on more thickly. This is the Naples yellow. I think I made a little bit of a mistake there, not to worry. So I'm thickening the paint up. So I can now start to make a statement with the thickness of the paint there. Then I repeat that, maybe on the pear here with a big brush. Same over here. So texture, thickness of the paint, vitally important. With a lighter red, come back to the apple. Then possibly with a highlight on the handle. I might be taking it a step beyond semi-abstraction towards now abstraction. But the process of working the way I am here is exciting, as long as you have it in your head that there's no right or wrong way of doing it. I'm not going to take this much further than what I've done here. I've enjoyed doing it, and the intention is to give you a bit more encouragement and hopefully some inspiration. What I will do in a moment is go to put some darker elements in. I've got some black squeezed out here, so if I take a thinner brush or a pointed brush, and in the last few seconds, as it were, I can indicate the stalks. I could also start to use the black paint to bring back some of the shape of the items. But the emphasis here is working, as I keep saying, semi-abstract, following my instinct. It's okay, I'm trying to paint and do a commentary at the same time, and as you can appreciate, the two don't go together. So you forgive me for that. Again, I don't want to go too much with the black, do I? So I start to leave it. Maybe I come in here where the shadow area might be. Back to a slightly smaller, flatter brush, just in this section here. If I come back to the violet shadow area, just in there, there we go. And I think I'm going to leave this at this point. As I keep saying, I just want to sort of encourage you to have a go yourselves. So in a moment, I find the mount. And you should be doing this. Don't be telling you. There we go. If I put a mount around it, it looks fine. And painting time, I think it's probably taken me, actual painting, maybe 5 minutes. So I'm pleased with that effort. So I'm going to stop here. And I hope you have a go. We'll be doing it in class very shortly. But that's the idea I'm trying to get across to you. I'm not the best video editor in the world, as you're going to discover when I put this on YouTube. Okay, so don't shout at me. Okay, everyone. Thanks for watching.